Brett Favre goes back to pass. He pumps. Now he fires over the middle. Intercepted. I can't believe what I'm seeing right now. But why do you even ponder passing? I mean, you can take a knee and try a 56-yard field goal. This is not Detroit, man. This is the Super Bowl.
I'm getting emails here talking about those late hits on Favre, Bobby McRae, and Darren Sharper, and Anthony Hargrove on an awful 15-yard penalty that was called against the Saints. But I don't in any way think the plan was to take 15-yard penalties and batter Brett Favre. The plan was to hit him, and the plan was to make him think about it, and you pointed it out all game. Brett wasn't the same guy a fair amount of that game because of those hits. And I credit the New Orleans Saints for taking that approach, but I didn't leave New Orleans with you last night, Pete, thinking, God, I hate the New Orleans Saints. What a cocky bunch of bastards. You know what I mean? Hello, Bob.
Gentlemen, thank you for having me on. Hey, Pete, from a player standpoint, was that there is a line that sometimes gets crossed between being aggressive and intentionally taking cheap shots, perceived or not, I'm not sure. But from my point of view, it really looked like New Orleans actually did have a true intention of hurting Brett Favre.
I'll say this. In 2004, when we beat the Green Bay Packers in Green Bay, Chris Claiborne came up on an inside blitz and hit Favre the almost exact same way, and he was not the same the rest of the night.
Yep.
Darren Sharper knows that. Okay? Yep. All those guys know that. I have me speculating, I have no doubt they felt if there was a shot available, take it. Physically roughed up. We need to pound him physically. You're right. Trading a first down for a headache, that's a mentality. Now, I know Joe Vitt and some of those guys in that staff, I guarantee you they were not telling those guys, hurt them.
Right.
They were telling them, be physical.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what they did.
There's no way they told them, take a 15-yard penalty in the NFC title game and we'll be fine.
No, they would never do that. But they made it clear that our plan is don't worry about the sack. Don't worry about that. We need to get physical. Make him pick himself up off the ground. We want to see him 10 times, get up 15 times, get up off the ground, get up off the ground, get up off the ground.
Did a good job.
How come no one in the media, and being in the media, how come no one is talking about the blown calls by the Zebra? And you can't say there wasn't. There were numerous late hits on Favre, the holding calls on our safeties, the pass interference calls on our receivers. I mean, there were at least 70 to 80 yards worth of penalties that never got flagged.
I understand what you're saying. When you fumble the ball 6 times and you throw 2 interceptions, at least from my standpoint, that I'm not going to complain about that. The Meacham catch in overtime, they called it a catch. They went to a booth review, and they didn't overturn it. I didn't think there was indisputable evidence. I don't think it was a base on balls that he didn't catch the ball. Maybe I'm stupid for that. When Pierre Thomas leapt over the line of scrimmage, Greenway put a helmet on the ball, and the ball slipped down by the thigh. Yeah, I thought it was close. Yeah, I could have seen it other way, but I didn't think it was indisputable that it wasn't a first down. I thought Sharper's hit on Favre was legal. I thought Bobby McRae's hit on Favre was legal. I thought it was.
What about the high-low hit on Favre? I mean, that's clearly illegal. They got the rules in place now. Like I said, I'm all for a physical football game. I like physical football game. But if they're going to have rules in place, they need to enforce them.
I agree. But Nick, let me ask you this: how would that have changed the outcome of the game if they had thrown penalty number 9 against the New Orleans Saints? Shake what?
I'm with you. Well, I understand the frustration by the Rubes because obviously if you looked at all the calls, there was a lot of calls that went uncalled against the Vikings. But I'm with you. If you have that many turnovers, that's the reason you lost. However,
were Vikings fans complaining when they called Anthony Hargrove for a 15-yard unsportsmanlike
exactly what I was just going to say.
Conduct? Or go ahead and say it then.
Well, there was calls on both sides. The Saints could argue that the unsportsmanlike conduct late hit. I don't know if that was really a late
unnecessary
hit.
roughness.
Right. So it goes both ways, but you're right. The turnovers is what I don't think there's anybody in the Vikings that'll say, yeah, there's some bad calls, but that's not what cost us the game.
And so my question is from last night in those 2 booth reviews, could somebody explain to me what they were specifically looking for when they're looking at that review?
First of all, I could probably speak for both of us, Lake. We agreed last night that both reviews were handled flawlessly.
Yep, I agree.
And ultimately, they probably ruled correctly on both of them, considering the fact that they ruled a catch on Meacham originally. You can't overturn it based on what they saw.
It has to be conclusive evidence.
And then the other one on the run play where Pierre Thomas on 4th and 1 from right around the 43-yard line of Minnesota, driving on the fringes of field goal range. Pierre Thomas leaps over the line of scrimmage with the ball extended out. And judging by the side view, the ball crossed.
He crossed it.
He crossed it, but here's where the review comes into play. Greenway missiles himself over the top.
He did.
His helmet jars the ball loose for a second and drives Pierre Thomas backwards. But because the ball never fully came out of the possession of Pierre Thomas, he still gets the forward progress. Now, let's say Greenway dives in with his helmet and pops the ball up in the air slightly, and then Thomas has to grab it back to his body quickly. Then the referees would have been forced to re-spot that ball based on the last point that he had full possession.
There was no way they could change the fumble bit because he never truly lost possession of the football, and he'd already gained the yardage to get the first down.
He established, because it's a run play, he already established forward progress, and as he was being driven back, the ball was bobbling, but he never fully lost possession. Therefore, he still gains the furthest point forward, which was the 42-yard line. And
you can see where the ball is at its foremost point here. It's where the ball would be, but the ball gets driven back. Now, does he lose possession of the ball? That's a question too, because look at the right hand. Seems to remain firmly on the ball. It's like the ball is not loose. But even if it didn't, do we have enough at this point on this shot without being right down the line to say that, yes, in fact, it's clearly short of a first down? You really don't.
Now on the pass play, Meacham pinned the ball to his leg, and the referee said that because he had it pinned to his leg, even if the nose of the ball was touching the ground,
doesn't matter.
He had possession. They changed that rule 2 years ago.
That ball looked like it hit the ground, though, Mike.
Well, I think it did hit the ground. But the key, it's not really the issue is not whether it hit the ground or not. The issue is control. Did he have control before it hit the ground? And did he maintain control after he hit the ground and when the ball hit the ground? And that's what you got to look at. Two angles they really focused on. This first angle doesn't give you a clear of a look, but you can see he gets the ball pinned against his body as he's going to the ground, and the ball actually does touch. You'll see in the next shot, but it doesn't look like at this point that he lost control. And here he is again, going to the ground, gets it now, pinned against his body, and now the ball touches the ground. But does the hand come off the ball? That's the key. Does the hand that's wrapped around the ball, does it come off? Does he lose possession? I don't think he does.
Yep. I appreciate the phone call, Robert.
You know what I think it is, too? Fans have the right to be upset over the circumstances, but I think fans are
it's the emotional part of us.
But it's like their anger and their emotions are coming out sideways, and they're trying to blame officials for not overturning two calls that, by the rule book, shouldn't have been overturned in the first place.
I agree.
And it's not that you and I are trying to pile on here, because, I mean, I sat around today, even though I'm supposed to be an objective media member, technically, you can laugh at that. I mean, you grow up a Viking fan, and you only get this opportunity so many times. Lake, I got a pair of white linen pants that are burning a hole in my closet that I would have loved to wear down the streets of Miami in 2 weeks. But now we have to sit back and watch you love the Colts, I know, so at least you have a horse in the race, but your Colts are going to tear apart these Saints, aren't they?
Yeah, we know this. And after Peyton wins another championship, he will go down as the greatest quarterback ever.
Don't blame the refs. It's just whatever you do, don't blame the refs in something like this. It's turnovers that got you last night. A very good football team shot themselves in the foot over and over and over again to make that score what it was. And still a very good fight. A very good fight.
At the end of the day, okay, as much as it may pain all of us, at the end of the day, the two teams that were the best two teams in the NFL this year are playing in the Super Bowl. So we can focus on the buzzkill by the Bayou and think we were the best team and we turned it over and we held Drew Brees to 45 yards in the second half. I think all that is being overvalued in analysis of this game.